Hello, good morning, happy Sunday morning, afternoon, depending on where you're tuning in from. Gonna give just a few moments for Cassandra to join us, and then we will start our chat. This is conversation number 4. Super excited about chatting with Cassandra this morning. Make sure you grab your coffee or your tea or your water. I've got my second cup of coffee for the day. Hello, she's here. Wait one moment for us to get connected, and then we will begin. Hello.
Hi, can you see me and hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Hi, I'm so excited to connect with you.
Yes, same. How are you today? You're on the West Coast, so it's 9 a.m. for you, right?
Yeah, so I got the fresh showered hair going this
Yeah.
morning and I'm on my first cup of coffee, so.
Nice. Yeah. I understand that. Awesome. Well, yay. I'm so glad you could join me this morning. I'll do like a little intro. I'm super like laid back and not at all professional with these, I
It's my
feel.
style.
Yep. So, for those of you joining us, my name is Jordan Lang, and these are Coffee Corners, conversations with conscious business leaders about all things business and life. And I'm an online business manager and business strategist. My correct pronouns are she, her. And I am super, super excited to be talking with you this morning. So go ahead and take it away, Cassandra.
Sure. So yeah, I'm Cassandra, she, her, and I'm in Southern California. Um, I run a relationship coaching business. Is my internet slow? Are we okay?
You're okay. There's no glitch here on my end.
Cool.
Yeah, so you're fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I run a full-time coaching business, mostly focused on relationship coaching, but really helping people get to like root core issues that are leading to repeated problems in relationships or unhealthy relationship patterns, or kind of continuing to date the same unhealthy, emotionally unavailable person.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I do.
Awesome. So cool. So share with us a little bit kind of how your journey started because you haven't always done online stuff, right? Like this is like relatively new-ish, like the last year or so, I think.
Yeah, I started 2 years ago, October 2018 online, but I really didn't know what I was doing
Yeah.
for the first, 4 or 5 months. And I had like no idea about anything. I just thought that you make a website and you pop it up and then
Great.
they will come. If you build it, they will come.
Right.
And just started like had no understanding of social media strategy or algorithms. I like had no clue what that even was. I was so clueless coming from working in traditional mental health since 2005.
Yeah.
um Very like unaware. Hello. um so yeah, the first few months were bumpy, and I just really thought I was going to do online part-time,
Yeah.
to kind of like supplement my full-time job. But then I started working with a business coach and I started to have some success and realized I really liked doing this online thing, as crazy as it is. Um, and this April, I was able to leave my corporate job, and now I'm doing my business full time. Yeah, so it's still like in some ways like in a early-ish stages. I'm excited for 2021 and kind of being able to scale.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm able to support my family of six doing this business. Um, and I love it. So yeah.
Yay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so awesome. And I love too how like watching you grow and watching you just come into your confidence with what you're doing in the online space. I think that's so beautiful. And I've loved being able to watch you transition from doing it part-time to now full-time. I think that you're just doing an incredible thing and reaching so many people in such a positive way.
Thanks. Yeah, we've been connected behind the scenes a bit. So you've seen me like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna leave my job. Oh my gosh, I left my job.
Yeah.
It is so scary. It definitely, I mean, you can have money and savings and all of that, like for sure. With kids, I wanted to make sure. So
Yeah.
um that maybe prolonged me leaving my job, but that's okay. I think I see things online. People are like, oh, I quit my job with no savings, wish me luck. Or I quit my job with no backup plan. And everyone's like, woo. And I'm like, you obviously don't have children or
Right.
like people depending on you solely for support. Because
Yeah.
for some of us that don't have parents that can financially help them out or partners that work. My husband works; he's a stay-at-home dad, and
Yeah.
that with all the distance learning this year, I mean, he works. So,
Yeah.
um, you know, for some of us, we have to maybe keep working a little bit longer to save
Yeah.
that money, but at some point, you do have to take the leap and
Yes.
and it still feels scary even if you have like the x amount of dollars in savings before you leave your corporate job. It still feels scary to
Yeah.
leave a full-time job and be self-employed. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there are so many unknowns with that. And like you said, having children who rely on you, it does put that extra pressure. There are so many times when I'll say to Brian, like, well, if we didn't have kids, I'd be okay with doing X, Y, and Z. But it's like, you kind of have to think through that. And you really can't make these like outrageous decisions because you have kids and they rely on you. So,
Yeah. Yes.
yeah.
It's a balancing act because
Yeah.
starting and growing a business is risky and you do have to make hard decisions. But if you're a person that has people, your parents or your significant other or children dependent on you, even a dog, like you have people you're
Yeah.
providing for,
Yeah.
you have to like be balancing and weighing that out. And there's no cookie cutter right thing. And I don't think people should feel like, um, if they're working a corporate job and, have a longer runway until they like kind of launch and do their business full time, that's anything to be ashamed about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh. I love that you shared that for sure because it is so true. It's almost like, well, it's that comparison, right? Like I'm not successful because I'm still working my like full-time job. And it's like that is no indicator of success or anything because a lot of times what we see on social media is everyone's highlight reels. So who knows what shit people have going on behind the scenes when they're working, online full time. They left their corporate job, but like you said, maybe they're not set up financially and they're going, what did I do? But on the social media world, they're going like, I'm doing amazing. Look at me, look at me. And so when we shift into that comparison, it's like not a good thing to do at all.
Yes, yeah. I know when I start to compare my insides to other people's outsides, it brings my nervous system into that shutdown
Mhm.
mode so quickly. And I'm like, just feeling like I suck and why am I doing this? And I should just go back to working a corporate job. And I'm so grateful for my husband because he like literally like scoops me up off the floor like when I'm
Oh,
like, why am I doing this? And because I'm comparing myself to somebody's big launch or how many followers they have, which doesn't always equate to business success either. For sure.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would you say are like some of the biggest struggles you've had in growing your business? And, in life in general, I guess.
Yeah.
Just in general.
Yeah. So asking for help. And as somebody with, as I like talk a lot about attachment styles and attachment wounds, and I
Mhm.
actually tend to lean more in an avoidant attachment style, which happens when you don't get the nurturing and the consistency. You don't really have like emotionally available parents.
Mhm.
So you kind of learn to become very independent and usually like, oh, look at them. They're like a little adult. Or, oh, look at them. Like they're not needy.
Mhm.
Or I was the kid that could like be in my room all day or all weekend on a Saturday and read like two or three Sweet Valley High or Babysitters Club books. And it was like, oh, Cassandra's such a good reader. She is can be all alone. And it's like, yeah, because
Mhm.
by the time I was like in grade school, I just learned like I don't need anybody. I can just take care of myself. I'm more comfortable doing it on my own. Hated
Yeah.
group projects in high school and in college. I was like, uh, like I can do it better. And this is a little bit of my Capricorn rising, and Capricorn moon coming into.
Yeah.
um, but still, learned such a long time ago that like you can't rely on people, you can't depend on people.
Mhm.
And growing a business, um, like in scaling for me, like has been so much about dep- relying on people and getting help and receiving support. And in the beginning, that didn't mean hiring somebody. That meant asking my husband for more support.
Yeah.
Um, it meant, asking him to take on more household responsibilities. And then it meant asking my husband to, um, quit his job pretty much because we looked in summer of 2019 at like how much childcare for three kids would cost. And without getting child support, I was like, okay, one of us needs to not work. And
Yeah.
I'm working full time and growing a business. And so it can't be like I'm already got some momentum. It can't stop now. So it's going to have to
Yeah.
be you. And so then that was like hard. And
Mm.
then he helps me, just like I bounce things off of him a lot. He does all my like intakes. He like screens those first before I look at them. Um, and that was like hard. So, and then I hired a VA,
Yeah.
and that was hard. And things haven't been perfect with my husband or my VA for sure. Like
Yeah.
they make mistakes, I make mistakes. Communication is as clear as it could be, which is like seems to reinforce this idea, right? Of I should just do it all myself and I want to like grab
Right.
everything back and do it all
Yeah.
myself. But then I'm like bitter and resentful and working till 10 o'clock at night. And that's not sustainable or good for my health. So asking for help and like reaching out, um, trusting, that has always been like just on a physical level the thing that feels like so hard. I'm like, oh, I'm hiring a VA, I feel like I'm gonna throw up. Because I'm like reaching out and being vulnerable in this way and asking for help. Yeah,
Mm.
so that's been like my number one challenge. And it's kind of a mindset thing and it's also kind of a strategy thing for sure. But it's a reflection of like how when you have a business, it's so much like a personal journey, right?
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh. And I feel like anytime you share those nuggets of your story in just your content or even in like our messages or anything, I resonate with you so much in those ways because for me, asking for help, like I learned it from my mom, so I know very clearly where I got it. And she and I will even joke around sometimes. Where it's like, if we have to ask for your help, we don't want your help. But it's like men, and especially my husband, he's on the autism spectrum, so he literally doesn't pick up on like my cues, on my body language or anything else until I'm like screaming at everybody. So, and he'd be like, babe, if you just asked me, and I'm like, I shouldn't have to ask you. And so that's been a huge part, is that communication piece of like, just ask for help. I'm Capricorn sun, so it's so hard for me to ask for help, but I've learned that when I do, things flow so much better, so much better. And even asking like my oldest daughter for help, she'll be 12 in a couple of weeks, like, hey, can you do this? Or hey, can you just bring the garbage out or whatever? Just those
Yeah.
small little things, instead of going,
Hmm.
fine, I'll just do it myself. It's like you said, bitter, resentful. Like, it's not a good place to be internally. And then especially
Hmm.
for my business, like, because then that's the
Hmm.
energy that's brought to my business. And that's not where I want to be at all. So I love that you share so openly about those things, like in your content and in your stories and everything else.
Thanks.
Yeah, because it's such an inner journey, and like that personal growth, it reaches into all areas of business too, for sure.
Absolutely. I was thinking the other day, so I offer my one-on-one clients like between session support 7 days a week. They can email
Mhm.
me, they can Voxer me, and I get back to them usually in the same day, but for sure within 24 hours. And I thought, gosh, the irony of somebody that like has been historically an avoidant, attached person that doesn't like to be close to people, that doesn't like people. And now I've, stepped into this role where it's like I need to be very responsive and have this like level of connection. It stretches me. Like honestly, sometimes I'll get one of those, I'll see a message and I'm like, okay, I'm just not energetically in a space to respond. And
Yeah.
that's okay. I like wait till later that day until I can really give it my attention. And really, I want to give it my attention. But again, that's like another little way. If you're not answering your customer service emails in a timely manner or checking your bank account frequently because you just are avoiding, or that's where again our own inner work, our stuff like impacts our business and our
Mhm.
client experience and our growth. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's such this inner journey, and asking for help is huge. I heard a business coach say one time, like if you're a mom, it's if you are and you're looking to hire, it's almost better to hire a housekeeper or someone to come do your
Mhm.
laundry, or someone to come like watch your kids if you have little ones, before you hire a VA.
Yeah.
Because that is like a lot, when you're a parent of that emotional, it takes up so much headspace and so much emotional labor to like run a household. And I think that's also what has helped me grow my business, is that like my husband did step into that role as a stay-at-home parent and was able to like offload that, and to have somebody to like make the kids' dentist appointments. I'm like, oh, they need to go to the dentist, and he makes it and he takes them, and I'm just like, it's out of my head, off of my plate. It's just creates so much more space, right? To hold
Yeah.
space for my clients and do my work. Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. And you know that for me, like being a mompreneur is like my biggest struggle
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times.
Yeah.
So that's where the non-comparison is so important, because it is easy to get wrapped up in, well, I would be more successful if I didn't have my kids. And I was actually messaging with Natalie Bright about this yesterday, where I'm like, I used to see having kids as like this negative like thing. I'll never be able to grow my business because of my kids, or this because of my kids. And it's like, I played the victim. I was like, feeling sorry for myself. And then I realized like I can still grow my business while still taking care of my kids. Is it going to be in the time that maybe I would want it to be? Maybe not. But
Yeah.
this is my journey and this is my season and I'm here for it, So that
Mhm.
doesn't mean that I love every part of being a mom by any means.
Yes.
I'm like
Truth.
pretty open about that. If you
Yeah.
follow me, I'm
Yeah.
like really open about that. But I it's still possible to grow your business. But like you said, I love that you were given that advice, like to hire that help at home first. And that is one of the things, even though my husband works outside of the home, he's still like, I text him or call him like all throughout the day if I'm frustrated. He set up like a chore
Yeah.
chart for the kids, and having that support is like so important for sure.
Yes, yes. We have two 11-year-olds, and like even just having them, like they're in charge of like the dinner dishes, to like unload the dishwasher and reload it, and even that little bit, helps. And so that's like with our own boundaries and communication, and that's something I think a lot of parents struggle with, is like delegating chores and
Yeah.
putting that responsibility, because in the beginning it's hard, especially if you haven't implemented it before, to be
Yeah.
consistent and stay on top of it. But on the back end, now it's like, okay, girls, go do the dishes, and it's not so much of a struggle. But that
Yeah.
first couple of weeks, getting people on board
Right.
with stepping up and helping you out more. But there, often is like help more places than we realize it too.
Mm.
And with COVID, it's hard. It's hard to be like, oh, I'll watch your kids for a couple hours and you can watch my kids for a couple hours, like with a neighbor or something like that. But even within our own home,
Yeah.
we can often like enlist, and it's going to, require like standing in our power and being consistent and setting those boundaries, right?
Yeah.
But to get
Yeah.
the other people in our households more on board with contributing, to like offload that load of
Yeah.
running a business and doing all the chores. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Sure. Oh my gosh, for sure. Yay.
yeah.
What are some of like what would you say is your biggest lesson that you've learned?
Um, that support is like essential.
Mm.
I'm almost always had like a business coach, or been like in a business coaching like membership or mentorship container, where I, can feel connect and supported by someone else, that I'm in community with other
Yeah.
people, that are on the same journey. There's that saying, like, you're the average of the five people you spent the most time with. And when you're like a solopreneur, or, and kind of on your own, maybe you're the only entrepreneur in your family.
Mhm.
Maybe your family, like my family, like didn't really get it for a long time, or had a lot of fear, or was encouraging you just to stay in your comfortable corporate job because
Mhm.
it's got benefits, right? So, having connection, and for me, like a coach or somebody that's like has their eyes on my business and is giving me feedback, has been essential. From like a neurobiology perspective, it's like we're co-regulating. I have somebody that
Mhm.
is further ahead on the path than me, that's connecting with me when I'm in that comparisonitis or I'm feeling stuck. Um, they are able to, like give me that support and that connection, which is just so needed. Um, Even so, like last month I did, or maybe it was the month before, Natalie Bright's, her mastermind group that she offers with her Align and Flow membership. And even just to like get a hot seat, like 10-minute coaching session from her, just really brought me back into focus on like, what is the next thing? What can I do to focus on my business? Because I was in a little bit of overwhelm. So support is like essential.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And it doesn't have to be like thousands of dollars either, right? Like there's so many affordable options out there. And even just like finding like-minded individuals to, connect with and send messages to and say, hey, like, can you help hold me accountable? Or, hey, I'm struggling with this. Or, there's so many ways to do it, especially in this age of technology that we're in, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's no reason to not find community because it's
Yeah,
out
yeah. Well,
there.
you and I are like in a group, here on Instagram, and we message each other, and oh, is anybody having problems with MailChimp or like
Yeah,
whatever, right? Like
right.
we reach out to each other in that group,
Yeah.
which is just so helpful to know that like I have that space where if I needed to run something by someone. And then I started to get a lot of messages from other like therapists, people
Mhm.
looking to, establish their own private practice or kind of leave therapy and switch into coaching. So I started offering like 1 hour consultations. Because I was getting a lot of messages, and I do need to honor like also my
Mhm.
time, and so that is like also just, it's not even like a main thing I do. But if somebody DMs me and it's like, I really want some real feedback on what I'm doing, I'm like, cool, here's a link to book a consultation with me.
Yeah.
And it, like, and we just troubleshoot real quick, like, what are some good next steps and what are some mindset things that they may need to work on.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like a boost to the next stage. So yeah, I think that's so important sometimes, even if you're not working like, oh, I can't afford a business coach I meet with every week or every month right now,
Yeah.
that you can join like a low cost membership, or you can maybe book like a one time
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
connection with somebody to get that feedback.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. I love it. So, in kind of closing out, what would you say is like the biggest piece of advice that you would give somebody starting their business? I know we've already touched on probably a lot of things that people can take away from, but if there's anything additional that you would add, what would that be?
um I would say just stay in your own lane. Don't get
Hmm.
caught up on your numbers. It's quality over quantity when you're building your following and with who's following you.
Yeah.
I made just as much money with 6,000 Instagram followers in a month that I did with 16,000 followers in a month. Because like Instagram is not, it might seem like it's a popularity contest, but it's really about like people following you that really are on board with your mission, that need your medicine, that, will be potentially somebody who will become like a paying customer at some point, and, um, as much as like it's like we focus so much on like growing your following, that doesn't always equal like more cash in the bank. Like I said,
Right.
I made 10K with 6,000 followers in a month, and I made 10K with 16,000 followers in a month. So it's quality over quantity, and just like poll your audience, ask them a lot of questions in your stories, like really get to know them and their struggles, and serve, just really serve, and
Mhm.
build those relationships. And show up consistently. Like I think about, we want to build that trust, and if you're like not trying to get to know them or not showing up somewhat consistently, like as much as your energy allows, like you're not building relationship.
Mhm.
And when people come to work with me, when they get on a consultation for like a one-on-one with me, I hear things like, oh, I already feel like I know you. Or, oh, you're just like how you are in your videos. Like, I'm so comfortable with you already, because like I'm showing up and building that relationship. I'm a
Yeah.
relationship coach, so relationship, and
Yeah.
that creates safety really at the end of the day, where folks really, get that, feel empowered that like, I really know you, I know what you are about, because you're so clear on that. And I feel good making this, decision to work with you.
Mhm.
Um, and it helped me so much to learn that from the time it takes someone to follow you till the time they're ready to like invest or spend money on your programs or services, it usually is about a 6 to 9 month window.
Mm,
So that's where, like, don't get that shiny object syndrome. Like, just stay on your path, stay consistent. Like, if you really believe in what you're doing, just keep on talking about it because, and it may take 6 or 9 months for you to see like the payoff from that. But just like, don't be disheartened if it's like, oh man, I've been trying to do this for 30 days and like I'm not making all this money. Like, it
right.
takes time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So many good nuggets and just that last response, to take away from. I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Cassandra, for having this conversation with me. I've loved it so much. I love chatting with you. I really do.
I know. We like need to talk more.
Yes, yes, for sure. So how can folks get connected with you? Where can they find you and how can they work with you?
Thanks for asking. So I'm here on Instagram at Cassandra_Solano. You can send me an email at hello@cassandrasolano.com. And I am offering the 1 hour business coaching consultations. The link is in my bio here on Instagram. There's also a link to a podcast that I did where I talk a lot more about like my strategy that I've used to build my business in my bio. So you can check that out too.
Awesome. So cool. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you again. I hope you have just an awesome rest of your day.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me, Jordan. Appreciate it. Talk to you
Yes.
soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.